replay today is from two ladies, Renee Boyce and Joyce Dukes. Their names are kind of tongue twisters, and they are intervention support coordinators for the School District of Philadelphia. And they came and talked to us. I don't remember when this was recorded, Sam. Do you know off the top of your head?
2021, I
Okay.
think. 2021.
So, still applicable to today, still applicable to programs. And I like that they call this an extended school year, not summer school. I often think about summer school when I was in the classroom and how kind of had a negative
Bad rap.
connotation to it. Yeah. So when I'd say to kids, yeah, you're gonna have to take some classes over the summer, there'd automatically be a groan with that, and then that stigma that sometimes was attached with summer school. But this is an extended school year. So this was a time where teachers really got to use the Project Discovery kits, get into those kits, and a lot of PD, a lot of ideas for Project Discovery came from using this during the extended school year. They had over 4,000 students registered for the extended school year. So this is a perfect opportunity to expose a lot of students to new career ideas. They also worked with the transition coordinators because the coordinators had the connections, but not the curriculum. And so this was a good way for them to kind of pair together and do that sort of cross-curricular part of that training so that everybody can get involved with it. They had a lot of parental buy-in, which I think was instrumental in getting this program to really work. So without further ado, I shall get this, maybe, go down here at the bottom.
Well, thank you for having us. We really are very good partners with Education Associates. My name is Renee Boyce, and my colleague is
I'm Joyce Dukes.
Dukes. And so we actually work in the Office of Specialized Services here in the School District.
Whoops. Obviously, I cannot do
of
that.
Philadelphia. We are intervention support coordinators, and our role in OSS is really about instruction and intervention for students with IEPs. Everything that we do must be embedded in research and evidence. And so everyone knows that occasionally litigation occurs in our life with students with disabilities. But so we just have to we always are embedded in research. You can go to the next slide.
Good tip. All righty. All right, you should be able to see that now. Joyce, do you see it?
Yes. We wanted you to take a look at some of our community, school community partnerships. We found that having community partners enables our students and our teachers to take what they're learning and what they're being taught in the Project Discovery kits and to generalize it, to broaden it to larger programs created with our community partners. So as you see, we have partnerships with some of the local farms, and any of our programs that are working with these farms have basically started with using the Project Discovery Greenhouse Worker Kit. You'll see we also have a partnership with Mayor's Community Schools. Our current mayor has set up several community schools throughout our district. And where there's space, where there's land, we've been able to create community gardens. And we're also going to talk a little bit about one of our high schools that has a project with the local SPCA. And again, that came out of working with the Project Discovery Animal Care Kit as well. Next slide.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
So this is showing you a couple of scenes from our Martin Luther King High School, which was profiled in a local magazine for their activities. And this was generated from one of our summer extended school year programs, which we'll talk about in a few slides. The teachers, and we found that when the teachers get excited, the students can't help but get excited. The teachers were using the greenhouse worker kit during the summer and were so excited that they were able to get students to actually grow real plants that the teachers from this particular high school asked to work with the greenhouse worker kit during the school year. Now, luckily for them, they had space, they had land where they could actually make flower beds and vegetable garden beds. In addition, they had an actual greenhouse on their campus. It had been built into the original building. It had fallen into disuse, but now the teachers reactivated that. And what you see here are students actually digging, planting, and growing real corn and other vegetables. Now, what happened is they worked along with their farming partner, and it ended up attracting the attention of a local food co-op. And the food co-op was interested in having a partnership where our students could grow herbs. And then the local food co-op could sell those herbs in their local market as well. And so all around, we ended up with 2 partnerships, a farming partnership, a food co-op partnership, and then our high school students who were also receiving special education services. So again, students are able to learn from the kit in the classroom. They're able to use hands-on application of what they're learning in the classroom. And then finally, they're able to broaden it to these larger activities where they can learn to generalize their skills, which is so critical for employment. Next slide.
We also I had the opportunity to work with the Edison High School, which is another high school involving the Project Discovery Animal Care Kit. I was working with a student that was placed in a private school due to his severity and his disability. And we still are responsible for the student as an LEA, and we had to oversee the student's educational placement. The student needed a transition program, and we used Project Discovery for that transition program. It turns out that the student, as the LEA, we had to connect with the student, and we connected the kit with the student. So the student got a chance to really delve into his interest, which was animals. He happened to live near the SPCA where they were doing an animal project. And this particular story turned out really wonderful because they had a volunteer project there. He went to the SPCA to volunteer, and then he actually loved it so very much that the kit itself, of course, prepares him for the role and responsibilities in animal care, but it also prepared him, he didn't know, it was preparing him actually for employment because the president of the company happened to see him all the time there. He volunteered way past the number of volunteer hours needed. And the president said, "Who is this guy? He's always here when I come." And they actually gave him employment. So we really need to understand the depth of the kits to the point where it can guide them and we can prepare them, and then we can continue to prepare them as they're in the roles of employment. That just happened to work out that way, but that the kit is set up so that it will enable students to feel comfortable in a job that they have a passion for. And the fact that they have so many titles for the kids, this particular student, they gave him a job there. So he lived nearby, he worked nearby, and it was really a wonderful opportunity to make use of the kit. You can go to the next slide.
So again, as we said, our use of Project Discovery really was generated from our extended school year program and teachers getting excited about this summer program and then wanting to carry it into the school year. Now, the Project Discovery kits are quite lengthy. You get at least a semester's worth of curriculum. But for the summer, we take it and we pare it down to the 18 days that we have available in our summer program. So again, that generates a lot of excitement amongst the teachers. They end up thinking about, well, how can I extend this? I see there's a lot more here that I can use. I need to take it during the school year as well. So that's where a lot of the requests were generated. And I think you would agree, Renee, that a lot of what we ended up doing with Project Discovery was coming out of our summer program.
Absolutely. And the fact that the Education Associates was able to create our 18-day for us, we had to have a pre-test, we did the post-test. So it was really a short amount of time, shorter than normal, but they were able to still make it very meaningful for the students. And what ended up happening was that they also have a community connection in the kit. So our teachers were able to do community-based instruction with the kit, and they could actually take the students out into the community during the summer. And so that in itself, just the program itself just lends itself to be able to be generalized so that they could take those skills and go out into the community. Now we had a couple of, very, very anxious teachers because they would know that the kits were coming and we would get first of all, some teachers wanted us to give it during the year. So we did have to really give some of the kits out during the year. And then, we kept most of them to replenish them. So we had students replenishing the kit as an opportunity for continued learning. But we had some teachers that we had to really, Joyce will tell you about a health and nutrition person who happened to have a skill for health and nutrition. And you could tell us.
We had one of our extended school year summer teachers who got wind of the fact that other schools had been given a health and nutrition kit. And as you can see in our slide, you see the little graphic at the top that shows you how we distributed the kits. And he said, well, I have to have a health and nutrition kit. I just have to because I'm a personal trainer in my life outside of the school district. And we said, we're glad that you're excited. How about looking at this kit, this child care kit or the caregiver kit? He said, no, I have to have the health and nutrition. And we said, well, we gave out our last one. It's all the way across the city. Our West Philadelphia school has one, but again, we just, gave out our last one. He said, tell them I'm coming. I'm going to exchange the kit that we have here. The one that you gave me here for the one that I have to have.
Right.
And he was just that excited. And he went and he got the kit. We made the exchange.
Yeah.
And he was able to implement that. And when he saw it and saw what was contained in it, he felt it fit exactly what he wanted to be able to teach.
Yes. And because he's so interested in it, he, of course, teachers that are interested, as Joyce mentioned earlier, that definitely gives a pump in the arm for the students being interested, and everyone really benefits from it. But as you can see, we have 4,000 students registered for extended school year, and probably a little over half, sometimes ends up coming, but we have to, as you could see, we had to have 4 kits because it was for our 14 to 17 and our 18 to 21. And math and reading is interwoven within all of the kits. So it was really a wonderful opportunity for them to delve into the kit, still continued their learning, and everyone was very, very excited with it. So we have nothing but rave reviews for the kits.
Wow. Wow. You had me at hello, but then when we got on into it, ladies, this is really where all of this becomes real. When you can take a look at real kids, real teachers, and scale to that level, there's a lot behind the logistics. And so I'm just so thrilled that it's able to support your visions and your dreams, and teachers like the personal trainer who he's determined.
Yeah.
He was really just going for that as it goes.
But I also wanted to say that, Joe Pilliard as well as Michael King, those are the people behind the scene that we would never be able to do it without their support and help. So you have a wonderful company that really supports all of the learning based on the teacher support and anything that we ever needed that, was accomplished through that. So it's really a wonderful working relationship that you provide, Joyce. So it's like we all work together.
One
Thank
of the
you.
things that we've noticed throughout the years that we've been using Project Discovery is that you're constantly upgrading, updating. So for example, with the video modeling, which was very critical for our students who are receiving autistic support. And so when that came along, the video modeling and your addition to that to the kits, we were able to take advantage of that as well.
Right. And that, you're right. That makes such a big difference. I've had teachers who've looked at things and they might say, well, I'm not really an expert in fill in the blank. And I always think, well, if you just watch the video modeling the night before or a couple of nights before, we do all that task analysis and you'll now know how to do that thing, whether
Well, that's what's added to the teachers' excitement, is that they realize they don't have to be an expert. I don't know how to farm. I don't know how to plant, but I can pick up this curriculum and I can teach it and it works out.
And you know that the differentiation levels that you mentioned, that is really the crux of the program, the opportunity to have a UDL built into those programs so that there is not one student that could not benefit from it. We have millions of stories. I know we don't have time, but we do have lots of real stories that affect change. And Paula's given us so much to think about in terms of funding. There's absolutely no reason why this wouldn't be a very viable source. We have transition coordinators that use the soft skills during their time with the ESY. They did all kinds of support with that. So it just provided everything.
Yeah. And that is really a piece. I always tell people it's all of the pieces are in there. When I was a teacher, I was always cutting things out till midnight the night before and then going in early to laminate. All of those things are in there. You don't have to be kind of dreaming it up, but you can still use your own expertise and your individual circumstance to make it fit and to make it work for you and your students. I mean, just the whole community connection piece that you were talking about before as well. Yeah. And, doing those community gardens and working with the local food co-op. Mm-hmm. That is a piece that I haven't heard added on in. Mm-hmm. That's a unique thing. I've seen a lot of people doing, especially like I've got a friend in the Bronx, Stephen Ritz. Give a shout out to Stephen. He's known as the Green Bronx Machine. Because he's introduced both hydroponic gardens and vertical gardening inside of school buildings to help teach students about not only about gardening and farming, but about health and nutrition. Because we have we call them environmental deserts, right? So that in some inner city areas, like in the Bronx where Steve's at, that there isn't a Whole Foods or, other types of options for people. They've got a lot of fast foods and things that are not great. So he's introduced this and gotten families and kids so excited about it. But when you brought in the local food co-op, that's a differentiator because now you actually have a place where you could market and sell your herbs.
Exactly.
That's commerce. That's now entrepreneurship. Yeah. And the young man at the SPCA, Renee, yeah, he was there so much he got a job. High five. Absolutely high five.
Over volunteered. So
he over volunteered. That's a good one. Paula, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm coming
Some
in.
Of the questions about the pieces for the summer school, we just kind of hit there in terms of those community pieces, the local food co-op, things like that. I think if there's any other secrets about how do you get contact with those local community leaders, Joyce or Renee, have you had any other secrets? I love the food co-op thing. Was there any other things that you've uncovered in your?
You really need to go into your community. It's all about the community that the students live in. And that's the best way to find out what's needed. Talk to parents, talk to, store owners. We actually really, the replenishing before COVID hit, we were on the move for replenishing the kit. and giving kids an opportunity to maybe do something similar to an Amazon, maybe not that great of a scale, but it improved their skills. And then the teachers during the year could have the kit replenished. So there's just so many opportunities, but starting with the students themselves and where they live and what the needs are, as Paula said, there's just a great need. You don't really have to look far. It's right there.
And we also worked with our transition coordinators
Yes,
who often had the connections, but they didn't necessarily have the curriculum.
yes.
So we were able to pair our transition coordinators with the Project Discovery curriculum and bring that together with the classroom teacher and, get a lot of synergy going there.
Awesome.
And Joyce and Renee, I have to say, one of the things from a funding perspective that I love what I hear from you is you have built a program that can sustain itself because you've gotten buy-in from your community and your stakeholders. And when that happens, a lot of times, what we also see is we might have planted some seed money by grants or some of these COVID relief, but those programs can maintain and thrive because
We got a lot of buy-in from parents.
right.
Parents, we had a group of parents who were potentially contentious, and rightfully so. They felt that they wanted to see more in terms of what curriculum their students were going to be receiving around transition. And as Renee was saying, we set up a transition center. We were able to get some local funding, and we had the parents come in and we had all of the kits on display. And with the students, standing by their kids, and there were pictures of them working with the kids, and the parents were just ecstatic because it was hands-on materials that they could see.
And one parent who had a summer home said that the food service was used to give her child the introduced, as we mentioned with the SPCA, introduce the skills, and then they have a summer home. And so he was able to gain employment at a restaurant at the shore. So you just realize that you'd never realize it until you put yourself out there or parents come to you. And it's really just a hand in hand working together.
Right.
So, thank you.
Whoops. Okay, so that was, they talk about some other stuff as far as funding, but you heard her mention that they talk about COVID money and so that sort of thing. And so we were feeling pretty certain that probably wasn't applicable now with you. But one of the things that we often talk about is how you can go to our website, and we have a lot of resources on that website to help you find that funding, to help you find what you need to get some project discovery into your district. So first, you can go to that educationassociates.com. We have lots of things there that you can open up, lots of categories, lots of ways that you can really get to know our product. And this is we have a preview packet. It's interactive. It's where you can really look at what's in the packet and really see a sample of what the curriculum is like and really be able to see it in action. We have some videos on there of teachers talking about it, of students talking about it. So there are a lot of examples and samples of what project discovery is and what we can do in the classroom. This is also where you'll find all of our news and reviews, all the things that are going on, our newsletter that comes out every month, right? We do that newsletter that comes out. That's where that is. Any significant things about our Gary Bates winner, which I'm not going to talk about, but we do have a winner. So things about our awards that we're giving away, when we go to conferences, when we go to CASE, any of those kinds of things, you're going to find that in our news and reviews. Again, our resources, connect with us. If you want to see something, you want to talk to somebody about it, you can reach out through our website and get an actual person. not an AI robot, not, I mean, an AI might get in the initial phases of it to get you to that person, but you're going to be able to talk to someone that can give you some information, that can give you some quotes, things like that. You're not going to get that runaround. We really want to be interactive with you as early as possible because we know that your time's valuable. This is our resource page where you can see our webinar Wednesdays. So just as all of our webinar Wednesdays are posted on this, and if you registered, then you'll get the recording of it. But this is also where you can come and look at previous webinar Wednesdays, look at our resources that we offer, because we have way more resources than what I'm going to tell you about right now. So there are lots of things that you can see, and really see where to get started, because I think that's always the difficult part, because there's so much to Project Discovery that you're not sure where to start, and this is a good place to go. You can see all of our stuff that's there, everything that we offer, and there's that help me decide button that's right here. Help me figure out where do I go? What kinds of things do you have? What kits are there for me? What job skills resources do you have available? And all of that's there. And then you can always schedule a call with one of our reps, and they're more than happy to answer any of your questions or find out any information. Again, our webinar Wednesdays, you want to get registered for it. You want to get regular updates. You want to know when it's coming, what day it's happening, all of that good stuff. This is the place to go. And then here's our funding. There's a lot of funding out there that people just don't know about. And there are a lot of opportunities where people want to give you the money. They just don't have anybody to give it to. So this is a good place to come and see what's available out there and see what kind of funding you can get. We also have people on our staff that know great places where to go. Our reps know great places to go. So this is a good place to start and see where you can find those funds, not just to purchase the kits, but to replenish the kits. Or if you want to get more kits, this is a great place to start that. Again, my favorite slide about the Facebook group and joining our group, because it is a great place to find out even about funding there. That's a great spot where you can ask other educators where they went to get their funding and how you can apply for it and so forth. And that's a good spot to start. It's a good spot to just if you're like me, you join a Facebook group and you're not quite sure what's going on. So I kind of hover along the peripheral of it all to see. This is a good place to really jump in and get involved, because there are so many teachers that are doing the same thing that you're doing and are excited to share their successes. I really, really want to thank everybody for being here today, giving us some of your time. This is a new era for us here, doing something over the summer. I feel like it'll be something we do going forward, because we really want you to have Project Discovery and be thinking about how you can utilize that with your kids during the summertime, and know that having that extended school isn't always just about let's get the math and the fractions and this and that, but let's also make this engaging for kids so that they love it. Because as you can see from the Philadelphia School District, they had a huge amount of success with these kids. And to know that these kids aren't just, you can learn them. You don't have to be an expert in carpentry to teach carpentry from our kids. You don't need to be an expert in the field to be able to give kids a really good understanding of what it is.
And then with that too, Felisa, I like what you said. It's not just about, the math and the fractions, but when you do something like Project Discovery, you can work that in. So if you're learning about, baking math, okay, how many cups are in,
Yeah. in
this
this
recipe,
cake.
and then you're
Yeah,
learning how to read a recipe and you're
right,
doing the math,
right,
or
right,
you're,
right.
you're doing carpentry, you're learning fractions on a tape measure,
Mhm.
you're working all that in, you're learning how to read seed packets for germination, working in some science and with, how much water is too much water for this
Mhm.
seedling, or, whatever you're teaching over the summer, you can build in those core skills, that reading and that math,
Definitely,
into any of our kits. It's already kind of
definitely,
integrated there for you.
definitely. And I also wanted to mention, I know they said something about CBI, community-based instruction, and it's part of our project discovery kits. We give you the things to say. We give you the way to go out and approach the folks in the community, because involving them is really an integral part of having project discovery be so successful. And not just that, those people will also be the ones that'll say, hey, you need some extra nails? I can give you that. You need some extra paper towels? I can give you that. So that's a great way to involve your community in the things that you need. And
Yeah.
that's it. Unless, Sam, you had something else that you wanted to add to that, that's it.
Nope, I think that's about it. We will be sending out the recording on Friday, as we normally do with these webinar Wednesdays, so keep an eye on your inbox for that. And if you found this helpful when we send you that recording, share it with a coworker, or somebody that you think um would enjoy listening to this webinar. So
Mhm,
we're very happy that you chose to spend some time out of your summer break with us.
mhm,
And we hope you have a wonderful day.
mhm.
And yeah, happy
See you
Wednesday.
next time. Yep. Happy Wednesday.
All right. Bye, guys.